Ever feel like you're just buried under endless spreadsheets and, those static reports that land on your desk? Yeah, you are not alone. But what if you could take all that data chaos and turn it into something clear, something you can actually use? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. How to design dynamic, interactive dashboards all using Python. Okay, just look at this. On the left, that's the feeling, right? Drowning in paper, totally overwhelmed by data. It's stressful, it's confusing, and honestly, you can't get anything done. But then, look at the right. That's where we want to be. Organized, in control, confident. That transformation from chaos to clarity is exactly what a great dashboard does for you. So, what is a dashboard really? I think it's super helpful to go back to this classic definition from Stephen Few. He called it a visual display of the most important information, all consolidated on a single screen so you can monitor it at a glance. And those are the magic words right there. Most important and at a glance. It's not about cramming everything onto one page. No, it's about showing the right things fast. All right, so before we even think about writing a single line of code, we have to talk about design. Seriously, because a truly effective dashboard, it isn't about the fancy tools. It's all about the science, the principles behind how you actually present the information to a human being. So what separates a good dashboard from a great one? I think it boils down to these three pillars. First up is clarity. Are you using the right visuals? Is the data just easy to get? Second, speed. Can your users get what they need in a single glance, or do they have to go digging around? And third, and this one's huge, is trust. A professional, clean design, it just signals that the data is accurate and builds confidence in the people using it. A huge part of good design is just knowing what to leave out. And this is a perfect example of what the legend Edward Tufte called chart junk. Look at that crazy patterned background and the bright colors. They don't add anything. They don't tell you more about the data. They're just noise. They're actively hiding the story that the data is trying to tell you. This actually gets at a really cool psychological principle called Hick's Law. And it's super simple. The more choices you give someone, the longer it takes them to make a decision. So that before dashboard with like 20 different filters, that is a recipe for disaster. It's what we call analysis paralysis. But the after version, so much smarter. It's streamlined down to just 3 key filters. And if you need more detail, you can drill down. It's just cleaner, faster, and way more useful. Ah, yes, the dreaded pie chart. They have their place, but boy, are they misused a lot. Here's the problem. When you have a bunch of slices that are all kind of similar in size, our brains are just terrible at comparing them. Seriously, look at this. Can you tell me for sure which of those slices is bigger? It's really hard, right? And this is why picking the right tool for the job is so critical. If you're comparing different categories, just use a bar chart. Our eyes are great at comparing lengths. It's easy. If you're showing a trend over time, a line chart is your best friend. Nothing beats it. And hey, if you just need to show precise, nitty-gritty numbers, sometimes a simple table is the clearest and best way to do it. Okay, so we've nailed down the why of good design. Now for the fun part, the how. And for that, it's time to meet our co-pilot for this journey, the Dash framework from Plotly. Now, here's the absolute magic of Dash. It lets you build these incredibly powerful, fully interactive web apps and dashboards using, wait for it, only Python. That's it, no JavaScript required. So if you know Python, you can now build these amazing front-end experiences. For data scientists, for analysts, this is a total game changer.
And the reason Dash is so versatile is because Python itself is a beast. I mean, just look at these numbers. These are the monthly downloads for Python database libraries. SQL, which connects to things like Postgres and MySQL, 50 million a month. BigQuery, 44 million. Snowflake, 18 million. The point is, whatever database you're using, odds are there's a rock-solid Python library for it. And that means your Dash app can connect to pretty much any data source out there.
Now, I know building an app can sound intimidating, but Dash makes it surprisingly simple. It really just boils down to 4 steps. First, you load your data. You'll probably use Pandas for that. Second, you define the layout, kind of like building a web page with simple blocks. Third, you add a spot for your graph to live. And fourth, you just run the server. That's basically it. You can get something up and running way faster than you think.
But let's be real, a static dashboard is just a prettier report, right?
The real power, the magic, comes from making it interactive, making it respond to your user. And this is where Dash absolutely shines. So let's get into the magic of interactivity. And this right here is the secret sauce. It's the @app.callback decorator. This little piece of code is basically the magic bridge that connects what the user does on the screen, clicking a dropdown or moving a slider, to your Python code running in the background. This is the thing that makes it all come to life. And the way it works is just beautiful and simple. It's a 3-step dance. First, you have the input. That's your user, clicking on something. Let's say they pick a new manager from a dropdown. Second, the function. That click instantly triggers a Python function that you've written. And third, the output. Your function does its thing, it filters the data, whatever, and then it just returns a new updated graph. And Dash handles the rest, putting it right back on the screen. So it's always input, function, output. That's the core loop.
Okay, let's see that in the wild. Look at this sales dashboard. When a user clicks that dropdown and picks a different manager, boom, a callback function fires off in the background. It grabs the data just for that manager and instantly redraws the entire bar chart. It's so fast, it's dynamic, and it's all powered by that simple callback idea we just talked about.
All right, so we've got the design principles down, and we've got the technology with Dash. Now we got to bring it all together. Because look, the end goal here isn't just to make a pretty chart. The goal is to build a tool that actually helps people make real decisions, a tool that has a real-world impact. And this quote from an engineer at a big-time car manufacturer just nails it. They say they use Dash to organize and combine data and make it available for their colleagues to interact with. They're not just looking at it, they're playing with it, maybe even running simulations. This shows you that Dash isn't just for building dashboards, it's for building full-on interactive data applications. Of course, as your apps get bigger and you start dealing with massive data sets, performance becomes key. You need things to be snappy. And there are some really powerful, kind of pro-level tricks you can use. There's memoization, which is just a fancy word for caching the results of slow calculations so you don't have to do them over and over. You can push simple tasks to the user's browser with client-side callbacks. You can also do partial updates, so you're only changing the tiny bit of the graph that needs to change. And even switching to a faster library for handling data, like OR-JSON, can give you a really nice speed boost. Now, you might be thinking, hey, what about other tools I've heard of, like Streamlit? And that's a great question. Streamlit is another fantastic framework. Here's how I think about it. Streamlit is amazing for its ease of use and how fast you can get a simple app or a prototype built. It's awesome. Dash, on the other hand, gives you way more fine-grained control, tons of customization options, and is built to scale up. That's why it's often the go-to choice for those bigger, more complex production-ready applications. So when you boil it all down, what we've seen is that your data, it's already telling a story. It's telling a story about your business, your customers, your operations. The only question left is, are you ready to build the tools that will finally let it speak?